Hey, what's up? And come on into our downtown Phoenix studios and join us for another episode of Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Chaz, Frazier, and this man right here is Eliav, Gabay.
That's right, Chaz. We're back together again, and this reunion rivals, I have no doubt, that of LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's in Cleveland, except we're going to get off to a little bit of a better start.
Wait. Who's LeBron and who's D. Wade?
Well, you're old and you have bad knees, right?
Hey, don't be telling them about my knee problems, man.
Okay, fine. I'll tell them about ASU's football game against Colorado. Let's run the highlight. Out in Sun Devil Stadium, it was salute to service night. Families of veterans and veterans themselves were honored. Let's go to the first half. Colorado jumped out to a 10-0 lead early behind senior Philip Lindsay. He finished with 80 yards on the night there, but Manny Wilkins likes to strike back, and he'll do it with his best receiver, N'Keal Harry. Now, Colorado right back at you. Philip Lindsay, another touchdown, giving Colorado the 17-7 lead before halftime. But wait, more magic. Oh my God, Kyle Williams catching that one from Manny Wilkins, making it 17-14 at halftime. The second half, better known as the DeMario Show. He finished with a career-high 189 rushing yards. He made that buff defense look very weak. I'll tell you what, Todd Graham said after the game that Richard is the leader of this team due to his relentless running of the football. You saw it there, true smash mouth football, and it was contagious. As you see right here, you're gonna see Eno Benjamin spinning, twisting, tumbling in for the touchdown, and that put ASU up 34-30. They ended up winning the game 41-30 over the Buffs, and gets them that much closer to bowl eligibility in a win they delivered on a special night in Tempe. ASU got it done.
All right, Eliav just gave us those highlights. Now we're bringing in WCSN football reporter Jack Harris to break the game down a little further. Let's start with the running attack. They were off the charts running amok at Sun Devil Stadium last weekend. How were they so effective?
Well, we've heard about the talent in the running back room. We know it with guys like DeMario Richard and Kalen Ballage, but the stats are really what stuck out this week. The production was there. A guy like DeMario Richard, a senior, had a career-high day rushing. You can see him here. Kalen Ballage had a good one. Manny Wilkins was good. And even the freshman, Eno Benjamin, had the touchdown and that big run late in the fourth quarter. This was the #1 reason they came back in that game in the second half. They started running the ball effectively, and it led to the win.
Yeah, that's interesting. They had like a three-headed monster going on. Everybody was getting in the mix. Now let's transition to the defense. This was kind of a weird game for the team. They gave up over 400 yards total, but they had 5 sacks in the fourth quarter when it counted the most. What was going on with them, man?
Yeah, well, the defense, if the running game was the #1 reason the Sun Devils win, the defense and the way they played in that second half has to be the second best reason, because they were a completely different unit. You mentioned the sacks. I look at the running game numbers. In the first half, look, 96 yards for Colorado, but in the second half, running the ball, only 13. They had -4 rushing yards in the fourth quarter alone, and they kept Philip Lindsay under 4 yards a carry. All of that adds up to second half, ASU had more snaps. They were on the field longer with their offense, and that's where the points come from. They figured it out at halftime. They made the right adjustments, and it led to that big comeback.
Yeah, it sounds like when they put together a consistent half and they play defense, they're lights out. Now let's go big picture. 3 more games. They got UCLA, then Oregon State, then the Territorial Cup right at Sun Devil Stadium to close it off. Do they get that 6th win or maybe even more to become bowl eligible?
Oh, I think they get the 6th win for sure. If you look at their remaining schedule, Josh Rosen might not be playing this weekend for UCLA. Oregon State's been one of the worst Power 5 teams in the country, and you never know what's happening in a rivalry game. From where they are here, we can look at the schedule. I think with these 3 games coming up, this is the easy part of their stretch this year. I think there's a better chance they could finish with 7 or 8 wins than losing all 3 of these games, which, man, think about where we were at the start of the season, just wondering, can they even get to 6 wins? There's a chance they could far surpass that.
Yeah, they definitely had a gauntlet of a schedule, but I'm sure if they're listening, they're like, wait, hold on. They're taking it game by game. As Jack mentioned, this team is on the road against UCLA. Then after that, they travel up to Oregon State. Then they come right on home to face Arizona in the much-anticipated Territorial Cup. Now let's switch it over to ASU soccer, where they lost their Territorial Cup battle against the U of A in Tucson this past week. Our WCSN team was there to cover it all.
The Arizona State soccer team traveled down to Tucson on Thursday to wrap up the 2017 season in a rivalry matchup against the University of Arizona. Looking to capture the Territorial Cup, the Sun Devil defense came out strong early, limiting U of A's offense for most of the first half. Many of the Wildcat shots came from far out, providing little trouble for freshman goalkeeper Nikki Panis. Late in the first half, however, Arizona was able to take advantage of a poor touch from sophomore midfielder Devin Kelsey on a corner kick. Freshman Hannah Clifford found the net after a few bobbles in the box, giving the Wildcats a 1-0 lead. Starting the second half, ASU was able to build up their opportunities on goal. Senior Jasmarie Mater was the lone forward in the attack, taking defenders on all throughout and finally producing her first goal of the season in the 69th minute off a beautiful weak-footed shot to the top left corner. The lead did not hold long, however, as freshman Amanda Porter snuck the ball below the hands of Nikki Panis on a beautiful through ball from Gabby Stoyan to give U of A 2-1 lead. ASU did not stop fighting for the rest of the night, producing as many attacks as possible in the final stretch, but 15 minutes proved to not be enough for the Devils to tie the match as they fell by a score of 2-1. After the game, head coach Graham Winkworth expressed his satisfaction with the team's ability to stay in the match.
Yeah, I thought the game opened up, even before they went 2-1 up. I think when it was 1-0, I thought the game was wide open, which obviously when you're down, that's a good thing for us. And, the channels were opening up and we were able to get Starkey and Gemma on the ball. We got Gemma on the ball a lot more in the second half, which was important, and we started to create chances that way. And so I think it was good that it turned into an open game for us in the second half, but unfortunately it wasn't to be.
The open game was what allowed Mater to score her goal in the second half, producing a special moment that the team can look back on, knowing that they can compete in the country's toughest conference.
I saw my entire senior season flash before my eyes. I have been trying to score since the beginning, and I just knew that I had to cut inside, and if I took an opportunity, I had a solid chance of going in, and watching it go in finally was probably the best feelings I've ever had. We came out and played and fought hard, and I think it showed, and I don't think anyone that watched that game was like, this other team was completely supposed to win, or we were, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't completely one-sided, and I think that we can hang with the best.
Although they did not end up with the outcome they wanted, the Sun Devils were able to leave Tucson with their heads held high, looking forward to the 2018 season. Reporting from the University of Arizona, Jose Lariano, Cronkite Sports.
Thank you, Jose, an up-and-coming reporter here at WCSN. Now we bring in someone a bit more experienced in Liesl Babka to talk some more ASU soccer. Liesl, thanks for joining me. Now let's just get right into it. ASU lost again to Arizona, their final game of the season, 2-1. This is the second year in a row they've failed to win the Territorial Cup. What do the Wildcats have that they can't shake?
Well, the problem is that U of A plays a really direct style of soccer, so they want to go straight down the middle, the midfield, and they want to score. ASU is a little more technical. They want to play the through balls, and they want to try to make plays in order to get those goals. And so when those two are complete opposites, it can kind of turn into kickball, and it can really be a struggle for ASU.
Now, it was the first season under head coach Graham Winkworth. How do you think it went for him as far as implementing his system with this team?
Honestly, it did not go too bad at all. Statistically, you'll notice that it looks a little worse than this year, but in reality, it's not. They moved up almost 50 spots in the RPI standings, which is absolutely huge for any team at all. And so I think that's a big win for them, even if they don't look so dandy statistically.
Now, moving forward into next season, what specifically does this team need to improve in order to show progress?
Well, honestly, they need to fill in the spots that they're losing from the seniors that they're losing this year, especially against their back line and forward position. They need to figure out who's going to be that goal scorer for ASU, because right now it's kind of non-existent, and they need to continue the leadership role. Gemma Perfield, who came over with Coach Graham Winkworth from South Alabama, she stepped into that role this year, and I think she needs to move forward with that next year and kind of get a grip on having everyone on the same page.
Fantastic, Liesl. Thanks again for being here. For all of Liesl's content and the rest of the WCSN soccer coverage team, check out cronkitesports.com.
All right, now let's head out to the ice where ASU women's hockey was on the road in Boulder, Colorado this past weekend, taking on 4 teams in the WWCHL Showcase, looking to add that 4th W to the win column. On Friday, the ladies faced number 7 Minnesota, and while Danica Borges was able to score a power play goal in the first period, the Devils could not get anything else going into the net as they would go down to lose by a score of 6-1. ASU played 2 games on Saturday night, and the first one was very similar to Friday night's contest. They lost again by a score of 6-1, but this time it was to Linwood Belleville. Casey McKinley scored her 4th goal of the season, but the country's number 4 ranked team was too much for the girls to overcome. But later that day, they played number 14 Midland University in one of their best games of the entire weekend. Alyssa Ayers scored after 11 minutes her first collegiate goal, giving ASU the 1-0 lead. While they allowed 2 goals to lose the lead shortly thereafter, the rest of the game went without another goal as the final score was 2-1. To cap off the weekend, the women played GCU on Sunday morning, a team they tied and beaten once to start the season. While goaltender Jordan Nash Bolton faced the fewest shots of any game this season, ASU could not get on the board, losing to a score of 1-0. ASU basketball, they kick off their season this Friday. Don't worry if you're not ready. We're going to have you guys covered with a little detailed of the team. Go ahead and get us started with the backcourt, Eliav.
Yeah, so we're going to start with really the heart and soul of this team. If these guys don't do well, then this team is not going to have success. I'm going to key in right here on Trey Holder. He's going to be the captain, and he's the most experienced one on this squad when it comes to really being in that game at all times and being in those late game moments. So if he can step up, then this team is going to have a much better time. And of course, he's going to have his squad right by him to provide. But off the bench, you know, Austin Withrow not going to get that many minutes, but Remy Martin, you see it right there, 85th in ESPN's top 100, a nice recruit for Bobby Hurley, and he's going to have to be a spark off that bench that was pretty short last year for ASU, so look out for him.
Now let's take a look at the swing players. The one I want to key on is Romello Wright, highly regarded player coming into high school. The team's looking for big impact from him this season. Now let's take a look at the bench where Kamani Lawrence is coming off that bench. He's a strong factor, and he got bounced, so y'all better look out over your head on the wing for this guy right here.
Yeah, no, if he fakes it and he's going down the lane, he might throw it down on you. And so Mickey Mitchell also has some bounce, low-key. You won't see it coming perhaps, but he'll do it to you. Now, we'll go to the part of the team that was really lacking last year, the big men. Ramon Villa, not that great off the bench last year, but Daquan Lake, you should look for him on the defensive end to really make some noise there and once again make up for some lost time in the big men area for ASU. But now, Chaz, I'm going to have to leave you because men's basketball is getting started on November 10th, this Friday, against Idaho State at 8 p.m. And we'll move on to volleyball, who's getting ready with their season or just wrapping up. Arizona State volleyball traveled to Southern California to face 2 top 20 ranked teams in UCLA and USC. As you can imagine, it didn't go too well for ASU. It left Southern Cali after taking 1 set from the Trojans and being swept by the Bruins. This extends their losing streak to 14 matches, and with number 15 Oregon as their next match, it's another tough one for the Devils. They return home to face the Ducks on Thursday at 6 p.m.
The Sun Devils were on the ice in Tempe this weekend where they welcome in Alabama Huntsville for a 2-game series where they showed promise in the first game, defeating Alabama Huntsville 3-2, but they failed to complete the sweep on Saturday evening. Our Tyler Perry and Jack Harris have the highlights.
Back with you here on Pac-12 Plus as we are just moments away from puck drop in this one. First of 2 between the Chargers of Alabama Huntsville and the Sun Devils of Arizona State. Tyler Bush now takes it up, gives it to Rats. Winding up, Streitzberg scores! It'll enter the zone. UAH for a line change. Saulnier wraparound, he scores! Gruber dangles, waits, backhand, blocker save, rebound, he scores! Jacob Streitzberg with his 2nd goal of the game, and ASU reclaims the lead. 3-on-1 if they hurry, but they'll wait. Holman sending one in! Oh, Dylan Holman was falling down at 6-on-5 hockey. This one in front, and they score! It's Gosselin. The Sun Devils are going to escape with this victory.
It's getting into the end. Pashnicki shoots and scores. And maybe 2-on-2 chance developing. Dunn tries to settle it down. They'll find a man. Good passing. Up to the far side. Faking a one-time shot here. Still dragging it. Gosselin finds a man on the back post, and it leads to the goal. And here comes Kestner for Alabama Huntsville. He scores on the empty net, and that's going to ice the game. It'll be a 3-1 score now with 25 seconds to go. And the game ends a 3-1 victory for Alabama Huntsville.
Let's take a break from all the seriousness and have some fun with Sun Devil social media. And our social media king, Andre Sims, is here again. Andre?
Yes, sir.
Come on now, you're a social media all-star. What are you doing?
I've got some gems for you this week. Went all over the map for this one, so it's going to be a good one. Let's get to the first one. You guys were at the game, so I'm sure you missed this one, but I was watching it at home, and Sun Devil Athletics tweeted this, Barstool right here, cash horn. My man's was in the stands eating. The graphic says it all, 7-year-old ASU dance machine, and you guys know me. I'm getting my moves on with the best of them in the stands.
There you go.
But I don't stand a chance up against my man Cash right here. Look at him go.
Yeah, I think he did everything right, but the only thing he was missing was a sign with his PayPal name. Because remember the person that did that?
The guy that
they
had
got
the
thousands,
Venmo.
exact Venmo, thousands of dollars. So next time, little guy, put a sign up with your PayPal name or Venmo, whichever.
Get paid big time.
It was incredible dance moves right there. And second up right here, some ASU women's hockey for you. We know a lot of us love that. And the Vegas Golden Knights, they are depleted at goalie right now to the tune of 4 goalies in 10 games. So Jordan Nash Bolden, ASU's goalkeeper here, she says, hey, I'm available. Not that far of a drive from Tempe to Las Vegas. Shout out to her for the recruiting technique there.
Hey, she's one of the top goaltenders in the nation, and they could use her. I mean, why not? It's a new franchise anyway. You might as well just pick up.
The active goalkeepers right now for the Knights, no NHL wins right now. So
there you go.
Basically the next best thing. And last but not least, we see this third tweet, and this one is my personal favorite. Sun Devil Athletics.
Oh my gosh.
I love this. You guys a Happy Gilmore fan?
Yes.
Doug Tamaro does not do birthdays, he destroys them. And member of Sun Devil Athletics there, giving him the Happy Gilmore love. And when I saw this, I just could not stop laughing.
Yeah, I'm horrible. I mean, I'm the one guy when everyone says, hey, did you see this movie or this show? I didn't see it, so I didn't see this one. So
oh my God.
I know.
The Happy Gilmore stroke in there.
That's right. You got to get that running start. And, you know, Doug is great at his job. I think a little bit better than Happy Gilmore was at his.
That is probably true. Doug Tamaro does immense stuff for ASU Athletics. We here at Cronkite Sports appreciate the work that he does more than he probably knows.
That's a plug.
Hey, great stuff. It was fun. This was my first time doing social media with you. Hopefully not our last
Definitely
together.
Not.
And now let's transition from social media to the gridiron, where things are only heating up in the Pac-12 South race. This week, Harley Yearout has all you need to know in this week's Impact.
Thanks, guys. With the opening week of Pac-12 games in November wrapped up, things are looking a bit clearer in the Pac-12 South title picture. The University of Arizona's 4-game win streak was snapped in a 49-35 loss to USC, giving the Wildcats their 3rd loss of the year. U of A's Khalil Tate continued his reign of terror on opposing defenses in historic fashion, as he became the first quarterback in Pac-12 history to rush for over 1,000 yards in a single season. But the bigger story here is the Pac-12 South title, which most likely will find itself in USC's hands when November is over. USC holds an 8-2 record, best in the South Division. The Trojans face Colorado on the road next week, then host UCLA in their season finale. UCLA and Colorado have a combined conference record of 4-9. Then there's ASU, who may have lost its chance at the title with a 48-17 loss to USC 2 weeks ago. While Arizona and Arizona State both hold 4-2 records in conference, if USC plays as it should, the Territorial Cup in the final week of the season will more than likely have no bearing on the Pac-12 South title. Back to you guys at the desk.
Hey, did you guys know that there's a top 10 ranked program on ASU? You may be thinking, wait, who are you talking about? Don't worry, I'll give you a second to think. You get it? No. Okay. No, I'm talking about number 6 ranked ASU Wrestling. The Sun Devils saw their first action competing in 2 separate venues, with most of the team facing off in East Lansing at the Michigan State Open, while the other 2 All-Americans, Tanner Hall and Zahid Valencia, made their debuts in the NWCA Classic in Princeton, New Jersey. And the boys came out ready to get after it, as 10 players earned top 8 placement in their weight classes. Valencia also took care of business, winning his match against Penn State's Mark Hall. The schedule only gets tougher for the team as ASU takes on number 3 Michigan Friday and then number 2 Ohio State on Sunday.
The NCAA Triathlon National Championship race was on Sunday at Arizona State, and they became back-to-back national champions in the program's first 2 years of existence. They did it in dominating fashion too, with the first 3 finishers all being Sun Devils. WCSN reporter Troy Tauscher was at Tempe Town Lake to cover ASU's historic feat.
Take your mark.
With 21 schools bringing in 81 total competitors, Tempe Town Lake was certainly busy on Sunday morning as the Arizona State Sun Devils looked to defend their 2016 national championship in their own backyard. While it was All-American Emily Cameron from Georgia who made it out of the water first, ASU was eventually able to catch up 3 competitors during the second bike lap. From that point, 3 of the 5 leaders were Sun Devils, with the rest of the ASU squad not far behind. Head coach Cliff English credited Ray Anderson and Dr. Michael Crow for giving him the opportunity and the encouragement necessary to build a successful program.
I've never heard a no, they're just like, you can do it, and that's been incredible, they've been supportive right from day one, So I've been able to go out there and build the program piece by piece. And I mean, and that's a big thing. We didn't have a bike, we didn't have a helmet, didn't have a shoe.
The long journey around Tempe ended right here. Freshman Hannah Henry was the first to cross the finish line, followed by 2 of her Sun Devil teammates, and helping ASU realize its dreams of a repeat. Hannah Henry from ASU! 22 seconds after Henry crossed the finish line, she was joined by teammate Charlotte Ahrens, and 44 seconds later, Kyla Roy made it to the end, securing the sweep for the Devils. No Sun Devil finished lower than 21st, and all 7 competitors in this year's national championship will be returning to help ASU look for the three-peat next season.
You know, the girls are ready, so it's, you know, I think there's a little bit of that for sure, and we've got some strong swimmers too. We were able to do some things tactically that, you know, we knew we could do, and you know, we made it a race all the way through, and every single one of our girls, you know, gave everything to the finish line.
A lot of people try to label ASU. It's a women's basketball school, it's a baseball school, it's a women's golf school. But after 2 national championships in as many years of existing, it's time to add ASU triathlon to that list. Reporting from Tempe Town Lake, Troy Tauscher, Cronkite Sports.
Alrighty, we made it to that time of the show the way it is. You know how it goes. Eliav and I will ask each other's questions, maybe even debate a little bit, and then our producer, Troy Tauscher, will pick a winner. No gavel this week like last week, but still, it's going to be fun. I'll get us started. ASU football, they won their 5th win, 1 win away from bowl eligibility. Do you think they're going to get it?
I don't think there's any question, Chaz. They have UCLA, who is as hobbled as can be. And then you got Oregon State, who's one of the worst teams in the Pac-12. So they'll get at least one of those before going to the Territorial Cup, but they'll get that 6th. What do you think?
I think they're going to have 7, maybe even 8. If you look at their next 2 games, UCLA, then Oregon State, UCLA hobbled, then Oregon State, one of the worst teams in the nation. The only one that's going to be a little toss-up is going to be the Territorial Cup to close out the season, Eliav.
All right, I'll flip it back to you, Chaz. Something that's not quite as sure. Will ASU volleyball win a Pac-12 match? They've lost 14 in a row as now. 6 left.
Look, I don't think they're going to go out and winless. I think they're going to put together a couple of full matches and come together as a team to rally and at least get 1 win. I don't see them going winless, Eliav.
Unfortunately, Chaz, I'm going to have to disagree with you, man.
This is the debate part we were talking about.
That's right. ASU volleyball, they just cannot find their groove, and with the teams they're facing, it's not going to be easy, so I'm going to have them going winless.
Uh-oh, that's not too good. But now let's close it out with a little fun thing, our favorite basketball. Shannon Evans dropped a 50-piece earlier this week in a preseason game. Does he drop 50 again this season?
Not quite 50, but I could see him, I'll say maximum 36 points.
Okay, I see him dropping another 42 ball on somebody. He gets hot from 3, driving, gets to the foul line a lot, and I can see that happen. I'm going with 42. Now let's see who our producer
Come on, back to back.
Come on. Let's go. It's funny how the sports world works, especially college football. When the Sun Devils started off the season 1-2, the vibe around town was Todd Graham needs to be fired right now. Don't worry, it's safe. You can retract that statement now. So say what you want about the team. They don't play defense, they're inconsistent, etc., etc., etc. But ASU is just one way away from being bowl eligible. Let me just put things in perspective for you. 9 out of 12 opponents have been top 25 opponents. 2 teams were in the top 5, and at one point, they've gone up against a handful of running backs. We've seen flashes of one of the most competitive teams in the Pac-12. If you ask me, they're right where they want to be and in control of their own destiny. And that's the way it is.
All right, let's get some top plays. At number 3, we'll go out to the ice. We're Captain Dylan Holman right there with the deke, and top shelf cheddar. Cap, show it to me again. A deke and top shelf cheddar. You heard it once, you'll hear it again. That was too sweet.
Now let's take it out to the pitch where Jasmine Marie scored ASU's only goal against U of A. Her first goal of the season and the last game of the season, excuse me. What way to end the season but with that goal, Eliav. That was nice.
That was fantastic. At number 1, I know you guys probably see this one coming. Manny Wilkins giving it to Eno Benjamin, the freshman running back. Let's twist one more time. Give him a nice little spin. Stay on your feet, Eno, stay on your feet. And he's gonna tumble in for the touchdown. That gave ASU the 34-30 lead. They ended up winning that game, and that was really nice by the freshman Eno Benjamin, I'll tell you that much.
My goodness, if that's just a glimpse of what we're gonna see as he assembles himself into that lineup with Kalen Balaj, Demario Richard, and Manny Wilkins, I mean, we are set for a treat, I can say that.
Absolutely, and we had definitely a good start, a better one than the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you know what? We'll see what happens with all the sports, a lot of great storylines, but for now, for Chaz Frazier, I'm Eliav Gabay. To catch all of WCSN's content, check out cronkitesports.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.